On this edition of No DQ&A video, I'll be talking about the direction of the John Cena character. Will his losing streak continue? What is going to happen with him at WrestleMania 29? Plus, will Goldberg ever return to WWE? And will Scott Steiner ever come back to TNA as an announcer? Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to No DQ&A video, episode 131, right here on youtube.com/NoDQCAW, and of course, NoDQ.com. Thanks as always for watching. Let's get right down to your questions. Aaron, what are your thoughts on WrestleMania 18? I thought it was one of the greatest WrestleManias that they ever had. Edge versus Booker T was great. Undertaker versus Ric Flair was amazing, and The Rock versus Hulk Hogan was awesome. Well, I will agree with you on the last two. I thought Edge versus Booker T was okay. The storyline was ridiculous. I think they were feuding over a hair product. It was just a stupid storyline. And I thought the pay-per-view overall was very forgettable, with the exception of Ric Flair versus Undertaker. That was a great match. And that might have been one of the first times that WWE started to acknowledge the streak. I'm not sure if they did it the year before with Triple H, but definitely at this show when Undertaker won, he held up his hands, for 10 straight wins at WrestleMania, and that's when I think the streak really took off. And I just remember that being a great match, and it was a cool moment for Ric Flair to be able to come back and have a memorable WrestleMania match with Undertaker. So, I mean, that was awesome right there. And Hogan versus Rock, I mean, what else can be said about it that hasn't been said already? I mean, to me, that was WrestleMania. That was one of the biggest all-time WrestleMania matches, right up there with Hogan versus Andre. And comparing it to now with, like, Rock versus Cena and Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, I mean, that was an all-time classic match. Not so much from a technical standpoint, but you know what I mean. Obviously, from the fact that you had these two larger-than-life icons. Hulk Hogan came back and got that huge reaction. Just one of the most memorable matches of all time in wrestling history. Hey, dude, do you think that we will finally get to see John Cena versus Undertaker WrestleMania 29, or do you think the ship has sailed on that one? I can't see Cena facing Undertaker in any other pay-per-view than WrestleMania at this point in their careers. I definitely see it as a possibility. I mean, look at it this way. There's the talk about doing Rock versus Brock, and also there's the rumors about CM Punk versus Steve Austin. So where would that leave John Cena? Cena versus Undertaker. And that's a match that's been talked about for years, and it hasn't happened. And I would love to see it. I think it would have a tremendous amount of crowd heat because the people are so passionate about John Cena, whether it's good or bad. And people would not want to see Cena end the streak, so Cena would be like the biggest heel of all time, even more than he's been in previous years, I think. It would just, the crowd would be amazing for that match, and I think the two of them would really deliver a very intense, physical match, and could be one of the all-time WrestleMania classics, so I would definitely love to see it, and I do think it's a possibility. I don't think that you can rule it out just yet. I found it a bit funny that Daniel Bryan said yes after every move he did to Kofi Kingston on the London Raw show, and also changing the LeBell lock to the yes lock. What are your thoughts on that? I love it. I wasn't really a big fan of the move being called the LeBell lock, even though it's named after the person who did the move. But I really like the idea of calling it the yes lock and capitalizing on the Daniel Bryan's popularity right now and going all the way with the yes chants. So I'm glad that WWE is not completely ignoring it, and they're embracing the fact that the yes chants are getting reactions from people, and WWE is making a ton of money with the merchandise, and hopefully this means bigger things ahead for Daniel Bryan, because he has been on quite a roll lately, and I'm glad he's finally getting the success that many people feel that he's deserved for a very long time. So kudos to Daniel Bryan. Yes. Hey Aaron, with Cena losing to The Rock at Mania and him losing to Lord Tensai on Raw, and he'll probably lose to Lesnar Extreme Rules with a Z, do you think Cena will finally snap and turn heel because he keeps losing? That is a very interesting scenario right there. John Cena lost to The Rock at WrestleMania. He lost to Lord Tensai, and I fully suspect he will lose to Brock Lesnar at Extreme Rules. Lesnar's not coming in to lose matches, and it would be a very bad business move to have Lesnar lose in his first match back. So, what makes sense is for Lesnar to beat Cena right in the middle, and yeah, I mean Cena keeps coming out acting like you can't stop him, and he'll overcome the odds. And I really like what they're doing with him right now, and he actually does feel like an underdog for the first time. I mean, WWE's always been doing these storylines with John Cena where he's supposed to be an underdog, but you don't buy it that he's an underdog because he always wins. So the fact that he can actually lose a match now, I think it actually makes people believe more in John Cena and want to get behind him. I don't know if it means he's going to turn heel or not, but it's definitely something very interesting to pay attention to and to follow over the next several weeks, because there are a lot of different ways WWE can go with this storyline with John Cena in the losing streak, and maybe tease a heel turn and maybe finally pull the trigger on it. Who knows? But definitely an interesting period in WWE right now. Read something interesting. Brock destroys Cena, takes him out. Punk and Orton take care of the merchandise, leaving room for Cena to return as heel. Thoughts on that? Perhaps they can even do a Cena versus Brock at WrestleMania as a revenge sort of deal. That's also interesting. That plays into the last question. If they were to turn Cena heel, they could have him come back and try to get revenge on Brock. But I would be surprised if they do Cena versus Brock again, especially at WrestleMania with the other options they have. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the merchandise, I mean, CM Punk's been right up there with John Cena in terms of merchandise sales, and so is Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder's been very, very close to them. And I'm sure Daniel Bryan's getting up there now with the Yes T-shirt. So perhaps that might entice WWE to feel that the time has come to take a risk with John Cena. And like I've said before, the thing about WWE, they've always had their greatest success when they've taken risks. When WWE first got big in the mid-'80s, Vince McMahon had to take a huge risk with WrestleMania. And then in the 90s, with Steve Austin and doing the Attitude Era, and possibly taking the risk in terms of alienating sponsors by doing, the Attitude Era and very intense stuff. That was another risk by Vince McMahon. So it paid off in the end. So hopefully, I think the time has come at some point where they got to take a risk with John Cena. I mean, he can't be a babyface forever. I mean, some guys can do it like Ricky Steamboat, but John Cena, he's been playing the same character for so many years now, and he really needs something different. So, and like I said, at least with what they're doing now with him losing a few matches, it kind of does, it's at least some kind of change, which is better than nothing. But like I said, we'll have to wait and see where things go. Hey Aaron, do you think that Bill Goldberg will ever return to the WWE? Highly, highly unlikely. Goldberg came in 2003, and there were a lot of expectations from both sides, and things just didn't really work out. I mean, WWE wanted to mold Goldberg into their own creation. They didn't want to have the WCW Goldberg in WWE. And what I mean by that is the Goldberg that comes in and just destroys guys in 2-minute squash matches. They wanted to have Goldberg do 10, 15-minute matches where he's selling a lot for the other guy, and fans just didn't want to see that. So, and then they had the Elimination Chamber, and people really wanted to get behind Goldberg, and people thought he was going to win the title, and then just like that, one sledgehammer shot, and that all that goes right out the window, and then the next pay-per-view, Goldberg wins, and it doesn't mean anything. So, I mean, the run just wasn't as successful as both sides were hoping for, and too much time has passed now. I mean, him coming back would not make much of an impact. He's been out of the spotlight. It's not like The Rock or Brock coming back where they were huge mainstream stars during their time away from WWE. I mean, Goldberg hasn't really done much in terms of being a public figure. So it wouldn't really do much for WWE at this point, and I'm sure he would want a ton of money to come back, and I don't think they would be willing to pay him for it. So probably not going to happen. Hey Aaron, please answer in a video. Do you think we will ever see the return of Taz and Scott Steiner, or the team of Taz and Scott Steiner's announcers? In my opinion, they would do better than Cole and Booker T. Scott Steiner as an announcer would be highly, highly entertaining. I mean, not in a Jim Ross way, but more in like a Booker T way, where he would be so ridiculous that it would make for great entertainment. And sure, why not? Bring him into TNA as an announcer. I think that would be awesome. It might as well. I mean, it's not going to matter one way or another to business whether he's there or not, but at least it would keep people like me entertained. So I would be all for it. All right, that'll wrap things up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching, as I mention every video. Make sure you subscribe, as I mention every video. Go to youtube.com/NoDQCAW and post a comment. Post a link to the video on Facebook, Twitter, even MySpace if you still go on MySpace. And stay tuned this week. We're going to have a lot of news about Extreme Rules, and we got a lot of news up right now. So make sure you check out NoDQ.com for the very latest, and we'll see you next time.